Ladies and gentlemen, today is September 16th, 2014. And this is the Kenny Kale Show, episode 196, where we normally learn to be better artists. But today is Tuesday, and we're mixing it up because we haven't done a thoughtful in a little while. And today we're going to be talking about conquering self-doubt. Conquering self-doubt. And this is a very important topic for me to get into today because a lot of feelings have been welling up inside of me, right? I've been having some challenges lately, and I honestly feel like I'm kind of losing my mind, even though it seems like a lot of things around me have been going quite well. And we're going to talk about that in a second. But before we get into that, we have a special number that we are about to hit on the YouTubes. If you look right up here at the subscribers, we're almost to 10K! It's over 9,000. That is over 9,000, and we're about to be over 10,000. So thank you guys so much for subscribing. I can't believe, I remember so long ago when I started this show, I got so excited when I got 72 subscribers. 72. That was the point. Right after 72 was the point where I was like, all right, I am legit. People love me on YouTube, right? And I knew that from there on out, I was just going to go. And now that we're about to 10K, to 10,000, it's so awesome. And yet it just feels, I don't know, it's a really interesting feeling, and you guys will have to experience it for yourselves. But there's a point whenever you start something, whether it's any project or a business, there's a point where you realize that you can actually make something of it. You can actually achieve what your success was. Even though I'm not running, monetization, I don't run ads on the YouTube. I don't make a cent off the YouTube. And that's because inconveniencing 10,000 of you is not worth 25 cents at the end of the month. Ha! All right, so anyway, let's go ahead and get into today's talk. And that is conquering self-doubt. Now, like I said, the reason why I want to talk about this today specifically is because I feel like more than ever, I've been struggling with this feeling of self-doubt, things that are just telling me that I can't do the things that I want to do, or I'm feeling overwhelmed, and I should just I should mess it all up, right? I need to sabotage it and just go back to the way it was. And really, it's just a matter of, I believe, it's just a matter of balancing everything out, getting everything aligned, figuring out what I want to do, specifically with my time, and learning to organize and respect my time. So I've been trying a couple things with that, and we're going to see where it goes. But let's talk about self-doubt. Let's talk about where I've been. Let's talk about where I am right now. I am in a state of literally feeling like I'm about to go crazy. And in fact, in some ways, I am going crazy because a lot of you know I started working for Riot Games again. I'm on the visual update team doing stuff for Champions and all that. And it's a really awesome experience, and I'm super happy that I get to work from home for the best video game company in the world. Let's just get that out of the way right now. Drawing my champions. And then also I got, my comic. I got Emma over here, which I need to get back to desperately, but this is really cool. I'm really happy to be working on that. And, just a lot of things in my life that I would have termed as successful, right? Following my dream, having the freedom of my time, being my own boss, all of those things, having my own place, having my own apartment. You guys remember when I was talking about wanting a place of my own. And it seems like now that I've gotten all these things, you'd think that I would be really happy, wouldn't you? But in actuality, self-doubt is actually creeping into me right now. It is almost, it feels like it's tearing me apart. And I'm always curious as to why this happens. And I often find myself comparing my current situation to places that I was before, when I didn't have my own place, or when I had my place, but my best friend Jake was paying for my rent to live there, and I owed him $1,500 at the end of that thing. At the end of, when we moved out, I paid him back, but just those times where things are so uncertain. I was buying my own beans and or I was putting them in a pot and letting them stew overnight, or soak overnight, and then in the morning I'd mash them up, right? And I make my own my tortilla and my burrito, my bean burrito, just because I needed to save money, and I could barely even afford to do that. And I just think back to those times where I had almost nothing, and even though I was still emotionally exhausted with worry, I still found something within me. I still realized who I was. Those are the times that I really believe that the real me comes out. When things start to get a little bit crazy, when things start to get a little bit out of hand and I start to feel like I'm going crazy, That's basically when I have to step up and say, look, like in the end, I get to choose how I'm going to feel, regardless of whatever is happening outside of me, or else whatever scenario or situation I'm in. I have the power to choose how I'm going to feel. And yet, the interesting thing is that once I have the things that I want, then I almost feel like worse. I almost feel worse than I did before. And I think where a lot of that stuff comes into play is through self-doubt. Because self-doubt is that little voice in your head that says, oh, well, you don't deserve to have these things. You're not special. You can't have those things. Well, you didn't work hard for this stuff, and like, oh, you're like wasting money. You can't control this. You can't handle your own business. Oh, you're not making your comic. Oh, that's just gonna go away. You're just gonna forget about your dream. You're gonna forget about your reasons why you even quit the job in the first place. And the work that I'm doing for Riot, they're gonna hate it and they're gonna fire me again. All these weird feelings of doubt and stuff start coming inside of me, and then they start to tear me apart. And a common thing that I've noticed is that, well, there's two ways that I am basically trying to figure this out right now. Is that I think that what it really comes down to is that self-doubt, a lot of people talk about overcoming self-doubt, right? Conquering self-doubt. Putting your, beating it into the ground and then sticking your leg on it and planting a flag in it and say, I conquered self-doubt. But what I've noticed is that self-doubt actually never truly goes away. As soon as you stop, like, trying to notice that it's there, as soon as you stop noticing that it's there, it'll automatically start to gain more power. And if you neglect like the things that it says to you in your mind, the little messages that it keeps putting towards you, like, oh, you can't handle money, oh, you're completely broke, oh, you're not running the business, or, oh, you're not doing a good enough job, or you're lazy, or you suck, or you're fat, all of those thoughts that are coming to you, even if they might be true at the time, if you start to own those, like you just become those more, like you own them and then you become them even more than you are currently. As soon as you admit that you do have the problem, that there's no hope of change, then you will be stuck. You'll be stuck in that hole, and that's all you'll ever be. So what I'm suggesting that you guys do is part of the seminar that I've been going to recently is called Building a Mind of Steel. And they talk about paying close attention to the voices inside of your head, the negative voices that say you can't do something, or that you're not good enough, or that somebody else is better than you and they deserve it. Things like that. I want you guys to really pay close attention to those. And what I've been doing recently is actually taking those out of my head and I'll write them down. I'll write them down onto a piece of paper, right? Like, oh, hey, I look really ugly today. Or, hey, oh, I slept in. I'm super lazy. I suck at life. And all these things, all these negative thoughts you just get in your head. Just take them and put them onto a piece of paper. And then what I found that is actually quite fun to do is once you have all those thoughts out of your head, they almost like they quiet themselves for a second, because it's almost like they know that you're onto them. They know that you're onto them. So they like shut up for a second. They're like, oh, quiet, shh, quiet. And then you won't hear any negative voices for a second, right? But they'll always come back. And that's how I think that conquering or combating self-doubt comes into play, is that no longer allowing it to run rampant or run free in your mind, and instead taking it out and putting it on paper. And this happens with so many things that I do in life now. Like the way that I make plans. I have tons of lists in my journals. My whole entire day and all the things that I need to get done, they're all checklists here. And I think that there's real power in taking things that are intangible from your mind, putting it into a tangible state on a piece of paper. And then another thing that I like to do is, this is something I actually did today, and this is why you'll notice there's nothing written here, is because I wrote down all the negative thoughts that I was having and actually took them over to the stove. I lit them on fire, and please be careful, don't burn your house down if you do this. I lit them on fire, and then I stuck them like in a little baking sheet, right, and just watched them burn. I just watched all those negative thoughts that I had about myself burn. And I realized that they will come back. They will come back in a little bit. But I'm going to keep writing them down. I'm going to keep looking at them. And I'm going to pay attention to the ones that they're very repetitive, because there's certain ones that will always come back to you. And those are the ones that you need to go after with basically like a high, hateful, vengeance, right? You need to basically take those things out of your head constantly, keep emptying your mind, keep emptying the trash, basically. Like, you notice how, the trash in your house, if you don't take it out, what happens? It starts to smell, it starts to freaking overflow onto the ground, and then it gets really, nasty. You got to constantly take the trash out, right, of your own house. Take the trash out of your mind, too. Because if not, it'll stay in there, and it'll completely clutter everything up. And that's when you start to become destroyed by self-doubt. You start to feel like you're clouded. You have all these thoughts in your head that you can't think straight, and there's a very possible reason why that is, and that is self-doubt. So, that's what I want to challenge you guys to do. Like, take the negative thoughts in your head, just write them down. You might actually find that they're quite funny once you actually get them out of your head and you just look at them and be like, do I really think this about myself? Do I really, is this what I really am? And sometimes you might realize that, you know what? Maybe I'm not as bad as I think, as these voices are telling me. Some of these things I could really work on. Some of these things are honest things that I could improve upon. But there's other things that are just straight, they're like cheap shots, man. It's like, this is obviously not coming from me. This is coming from somewhere else. This is coming from, my lower self. The part of me that's always wanting to restrain and pull back, resist the change. Because we know as humans, and this is where I really think it comes from. It comes from that resistance to change. That's why I feel that whenever I start to get the things that I want, or I start to make progress toward a goal, or creating something, or creating freedom for my life, I start to get all of these self-doubting things, all these self-doubting thoughts that are trying to pull me back to where I was, pull me back before that change happened. Because humans fear change. They fear the unknown, and change is always going to be unknown. And that's why you get those feelings like pulling you back, holding you back in place. And people will do it too. Your friends will do it. They'll hold you back, right? Because they don't want you to go off without them. But more than anything, the most important thing that you need to understand is how you will try to hold yourself back, how your mind will try to hold itself back to stay safe, to stay in the same spot, because it knows where it is right now. It is safe there. So, anyway, and this is really good for me to say because I need to hear these things. I need to hear myself say these things too, and it really, really helps out a lot. So, yeah, I hope that helps you guys out. Give it a shot. Write down the lists. And I just want to say thank you guys once again, all of you who have subscribed to the show, those of you who do get value out of the Thoughtful Thursdays and the tutorials. I just want to say thank you so much for watching the show, and I can't wait to keep making these for you. I cannot wait to just keep creating value and improving myself. And yeah, here's to the next 10,000, 10,072 subscribers. All of you unsubscribe. In fact, all you unsubscribe, and let's go back to 72 because I like 72. 72 was good. All right, guys. So you guys take care of yourselves. Until next time, stay cool. Stay cool. No, that was such. Oh, that was such a bad outro. Stay cool. Oh man. I just muted the mic. This is like the worst outro in the history of all the shows. Like, it just makes sense, right? This is what you subscribe to. This is what you subscribe to. Stay cool, stay in school. We'll see you guys next time. Oh, man. No way I'm doing that over again, because that was good. It was good, I like the way it felt. It felt like the energy was there. Energy was there.